My name's Johanna Garcia. I'm one of the managing owners here at Valley Rock Gym. We're located in downtown Corvallis, Oregon, which is a beautiful town in the Willamette Valley. We've been open since April of 2021, so going on 3.5 years. And we sort of have 4 pillars, which is climbing, community, education, and wellness. And those are the 4 pillars that serve as the foundation for our climbing gym. So we're just trying to introduce the community to climbing, really focus on community engagement and getting people involved. And yeah, it's a wonderful spot, so come on by. We have 8,000 square feet of climbing. We have 2 youth-focused rooms, 4 autoblays, fitness area, fitness gym, yoga and fitness classes, so we have a lot to offer. Have you heard of Merchant Maverick? I unfortunately have not heard of Merchant Maverick. What's one challenge you're facing and how can the community help? One challenge right now is we're just sort of lacking on space. We're a pretty small gym. We have 20,000 square feet in a pretty small community, but we're really popular in our community. So when it hits 4 or 5 p.m. and you get that 5 p.m. rush, everyone after work, it is really, really busy. And so right now we're coming up against just we feel like we're bursting at the seams. And so we're, exploring opportunities for physical growth, expanding our building. And there's a lot of different areas that we can go. We can go bouldering, we can go ropes, and there's just a lot of logistics that each of those options we're gonna have to navigate that, figuring out both what the community wants and what the community needs are, as well as financially, how do we get it done? So a lot of things to think about, but definitely something that we're looking forward to doing in the next few years. What is one of your top pieces of advice for small business owners just starting out? First and foremost, it's a lot of work, but it's worth it. If you have a dream, just do it. It is a lot of work, but it's worth it. You're just gonna have to work hard and ask for help, and it's gonna work out. Don't be afraid to adapt. Growth can't happen without the willingness to be flexible and to change. So just like a human, a business is an evolving thing. We're always changing, we're fluid. So embrace that. And then the last thing is find employees who are passionate about what you're doing and include them in the process of growing your business. Everyone has something to bring to the table, and as long as we're willing to include them and listen, you can create an amazing team. What is the best part of being a small business owner? I think just seeing the impact that your business can have. A lot of times being a small business owner, you don't get a lot of appreciation or credit. There's so much that goes on behind the scenes, years of work that is taken to lead up to the actual business being here. So just seeing the impact that your business can have on the community, both on a large community level, and then on an individual basis, it's just an amazing thing. It makes it all worth it. So even if you're not getting the verbal oh, this is so incredible, or recognition for those years of work, just seeing the impact that the business can have on the community and individuals is amazing. And then I think the other thing is just community. Being a small business, you're naturally gonna have a smaller team of people, a smaller community of members. And I think that just lends itself to creating a much more intimate environment where people can really get to know one another. There's a lot of intentional energy that is brought to this space. People are very positive, inclusive, welcoming. And I think that's something that you don't necessarily find at massive, large-scale gyms. So that's something that I'm really proud about, of being part of a small community and part of a small business in Corvallis. Okay, vendor rundown. POS system, we use a system called Approach, which is actually I would say, a newer. They launched around the same time that we opened. So we've been pretty involved with them growing and us growing and providing feedback on how they can better their services. But they work with a lot of climbing gyms in particular, so that's a unique fact about them. Credit card processing, that's a great question for the Director of Operations. I actually don't know the answer to that. Website, we use GoDaddy. I love GoDaddy. They're awesome, great customer service, really user-friendly, which is great. And that's also what we use for email marketing. Banking, we use Capital One, Business, and Oregon State Credit Union. So keeping it local as well. Accounting, we use a local person who we love, 10 Key Remedies, based in Corvallis. Payroll, we use Gusto, and scheduling, we use When I Work, and they link, which is awesome. That's the rundown of that. Oh, Gosh, misconceptions. That's a great question. I don't know if I have an answer. I think at first people be like, you must work all the time. And I think in the first few years, that's definitely true. Like we worked our butts off. It was so hard. We also opened right when vaccinations were rolling out and COVID. So we were navigating a lot of uncertainty that first year. There was a ton of growth, a lot of unknowns. Like our team was amazing in terms of like all of us working together to make the first year a success. And yeah, it was a pretty incredible and hard year. And at this point, I've finally found a really nice work-life balance. So I now have time off. I feel like I can leave the gym and we have great managers in place that I trust and we have a great team. So it took a few years to get there, but yeah, I think people probably assume like, yeah, you're working all the time, and yes, that was true, but I think we like put a lot of work into creating a really solid foundation that now gives us the freedom and flexibility of what a business owner should have, right? Which is time off and flexibility with their work schedule. So happy to finally have that now. I love climbing, so bouldering, just moving on the walls is my favorite. I do have to be conscientious about when I choose to do it because being a business owner, working in the place that you also climb in can be a hard thing to balance. So I try to climb in the morning when I don't get distracted by employees asking questions.
That's fair.
But if I want to socialize, and like I think a lot of people love bouldering because it's a very social sport, then doing it in the evening is also fun because you get to just engage with everyone else who's here. Yeah, so I don't really have a business background. I actually have worked for 10 plus years in the outdoor industry, working as like a climbing guide and outdoor educator for Knowles, and just like spending a lot of time in the backcountry. So I actually lived a very nomadic lifestyle. I was on the road a lot. I would spend a month or two in the backcountry, then go climb for fun, and then go back and work with groups of all backgrounds. And it was an amazing lifestyle. It was also really exhausting, and there wasn't a lot of stability involved, both like financial stability and also just like, you don't have a house, your house is on wheels, you know? So, you know, I was craving both stability and also just like having a sense of community and then having a longer impact and seeing an impact on the community over time. With the work I was doing, I would invest a ton of energy into like working with youth for a whole month and building this amazing community and then having to say goodbye. So that over time was pretty emotional. So moved back to Corvallis with my partner. We saw that there was this void in this town of like, there's a ton of climbers here, but there wasn't a climbing gym. And so we sort of started to embark on that project. We realized very quickly that it was a massive project for two people in their early 20s to take on, mid-20s. So we were like, okay, we need to like collaborate on this. So we found a few other people in the community that had a similar vision, and then it was a team of 5, and together we were able to make this happen. And then we have 2 managing owners. I'm one of them, and the director of operations, Morgan Foster, is the other. And then the other 3 owners are actually 2 of them own the cafe upstairs. So it's a pretty cool collaboration that we have. So the cafe is Ansonalaw Cafe, owned by Sally Starker and Wendy Little, who are also owners of the gym. And their cafe is very much focused on wellness, and so they provide a lot of like cooking classes and nutrition stuff, and then all of the food that they have is gluten-free, and then they just have a lot of options like dairy-free options, nut-free, certain grain-free things. So for folks that have dietary restrictions, it's definitely a really nice place to go. And even if you don't, like their smoothies are my favorite for sure in the whole town. The creamy carrot or the nutty strawberry. Yeah, I think something that we really try to invest a lot of energy in is the community engagement piece. We have monthly events that cater to different groups every month. So we have a women's climb night, a queer climb night, a BIPOC meetup. We work with individual groups within the community to provide events like Casa Latinos Unidos, Corvallis Climbers of Color. And with all those events, we do a lot of work to decrease the financial barrier to access. So most of our events are $5, include shoe rentals. So it's really affordable. We have Family Climb Day, which is 50% off. And then we have a Community Climb Night, which is for anyone, no matter what your background or identity, and that's also $5 a night. So no matter who you are, how you identify, there's a night that you can climb for $5 once a month, which is pretty rad. So I think with that, we try to, make it affordable, because climbing is a sport that there is definitely an economic barrier there, and so we do our best to make it accessible. We also provide scholarships for all our youth program and climbing team and summer camps. So one of our first ever women's climb nights, it was in October. We sort of held off the first few months because of COVID. There was like there were a lot of restrictions on how many people we could have in our gym. So once that was lifted, and we sort of had, the gym was open, anybody could come in, we had our first ever women's climb night. And there was a line down the block and around the building of women coming here. We ended up having 120 women coming to climb. And it was just like this aha, like holy moly moment, like this is amazing. Climbing in a women's space. Since then we've had women affinity nights where we say women only. Once, it's every March for International Women's Month. And we sort of are able to repeat this 100+ women in the gym. So it's just incredible, like having those spaces where you can be with people that you identify with is pretty amazing. So that was a huge, proud moment for me. Yeah, right now it's one of those things where like we finally do have that work-life balance, so we're like pretty content with what we have going on here, and yet like we do know there's the need for the community to grow, and so we do want that to happen. I just think there are a lot of variables to think about. The cost of materials is really freaking high right now, interest rates, all that stuff. So there's a lot of things that we just need to work on before we move in that direction. But yeah, the ideal would be to do an expansion of some sort, either a rope expansion or a bouldering expansion, and just providing more space for our members while still keeping the intimate nature of our gym.